up on the NewsFeed, Everman police have released new security footage of a missing boy's parents at DFW Airport. And Dallas City Council have their eyes on short-term property rentals.
It's about to heat up across Texas. I'll tell you all about it during the weekly weather. It's 1 o'clock and the NewsFeed starts now.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. We begin with an update on the investigation into Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Paxton's close associate, Nate Paul, has been indicted on 8 federal charges. Michael Atkinson has more on his appearance in court.
A once prominent Austin area businessman at the center of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's impeachment now faces federal charges and possibly more than $100 million in damages. Nate Paul, a close associate of Paxton's, was indicted Thursday on 8 different counts of making false statements to creditors and moneylenders totaling millions of dollars between 2017 and 2018. In just one of the charges, Paul told the California mortgage lending business he had more than $14 million in his bank account. U.S. attorneys say he had just $12,000. But the name no lawyer mentioned on Friday, Ken Paxton, who's suspended from his job as Attorney General after he was impeached by the Texas House of Representatives. In a statement on Friday, Paxton's attorney, Tony Busby, says the charges against Paul evidently have nothing to do with Attorney General Ken Paxton, going on to say that should speak volumes as to how weak this impeachment effort is. Earlier this week, Busby attempted to disassociate Paxton and Paul and said the allegations of gifts and deals between the two weren't true.
Part of that article is that an individual named Nate Paul paid for the renovations. We have the receipts. This is the type of evidence we tried to offer them.
And while Paxton isn't named directly in the indictment, investigators say Paxton's role in the federal investigation is partly what resulted in his impeachment.
General Paxton directed actions against a charitable organization. General Paxton directed actions against the standard law enforcement protection afforded to ongoing investigations. General Paxton directed action outside of law enforcement protocol and investigation on baseless allegations. All 4 allegations made by the whistleblower revolve around a person named Nate Paul.
Paxton has denied wrongdoing in his case. Paul didn't enter a plea on Friday. The 2 cases could grow close together, though, as the Senate prepares for its trial of Ken Paxton.
The construction worker killed after a partial roof collapse in Houston has been identified. 26-year-old Moises Alejandro Morales suffered blunt head trauma when the roof of Friendswood High School's gym collapsed without warning. 3 other workers were sent to the hospital with minor injuries and are expected to make a full recovery. Another delay is expected in the capital murder trial of Antonio A.J. Armstrong Jr., who is accused of murdering his parents while they slept in their Bel Air area home, which is located in southwest Houston. The judge currently presiding over the case has issued a gag order for both Armstrong's defense team and the prosecutors, restricting the parties from giving details on the latest delay. Armstrong's first 2 trials in 2019 and last October ended in mistrials because jurors couldn't agree on a verdict. If convicted, he faces life in prison and would be eligible for parole after 40 years.
Everman police have released surveillance images from late March at DFW Airport that show the family of Noel Rodriguez Alvarez fleeing the country. We've known about the images for some time, and they were recently cleared by Homeland Security for release. The fugitive couple is now believed to be in India, and federal investigators are working to locate them. The effort to locate Noel's remains has quietly continued for months at the family's home. Everman police also released video that shows the last full search of the home in April. Celebration of arts and letters to commemorate Juneteenth, the national holiday highlighting the emancipation of slavery in the United States, will be celebrated on the TCC Northeast campus. The Director of Student Development Services, Kara Walker, tells us more about the event.
We are super excited about our upcoming event, the 6th annual Juneteenth Northeast. This year, our theme is Kaleidoscope, Reflections of Freedom. And at this commemoration of this important time in history, we will be having performances from community members as well as members of our TCC community. We have special guests, the Inspiration Band. We will also have a dance performance from St. John's Church. We will also have performances from our music department as well as our dance company, Movers Unlimited. So we invite you, we encourage you to come out. It will be on Thursday, June 15th, 2023. Our reception will start at 5:15. The reception will be featuring Chef Kareem, who will be having a delicious offering of hors d'oeuvres for us. Also at the reception, you can anticipate artwork from our students who participated in a scholarship contest. And then the winners of the scholarship contest will be announced at the formal event, which will start at 6 p.m. So it'll be a wonderful occasion. We would love for you to come out. We are so thankful for our co-hosts, our partners in the community, the North Central Texas Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. It's going to be a wonderful time. So we look forward to seeing you there.
When we return, we will have the recent information following former President Trump's arraignment in Miami.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training on a Friday afternoon, and the very next day he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. You don't know how much somebody can hide what's going on inside their head. Store your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving. I definitely can't drive.
Okay.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch. Till September. I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Make yourself a committee of 1 to change somebody's mind.
Go back up.
If people can be taught to hate, they can be taught to love.
That was Fort Worth's very own Opal Lee with a short yet powerful speech at the White House's first big Juneteenth celebration. Lee is known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, whose advocacy helped turn into a national holiday. She was accompanied by Vice President Kamala Harris, who introduced her to what the White House described as a celebration of community, culture, and music. Marching bands from Morgan State and Tennessee State were featured at the event on top of the dance group Step Africa, and choirs from more historically Black colleges and universities. Former President Trump is maintaining his innocence after appearing in a Miami courtroom Tuesday, where he pleaded not guilty to 37 federal charges, including alleged mishandling of highly classified U.S. military documents. Chris Wen was in Miami with a closer look at what played out inside the courtroom and what's ahead.
But they will fail and we will win bigger and better.
A historic court appearance for the first time ever, a former U.S. president facing federal charges.
Food for everyone. Food for everyone.
Donald Trump appearing at a popular Cuban restaurant just minutes after his arraignment in Miami inside a federal courtroom Tuesday, where he pleaded not guilty to the 37 federal counts against him, including allegedly mishandling highly sensitive classified documents and conspiracy to obstruct justice.
They've only charged him with 31 out of the hundreds of documents that they've seized.
During the proceedings, witnesses say that Trump appeared somber, even scowling during his arraignment. His aide and co-defendant Walt Nauta appeared with him in court, but didn't enter a plea because he didn't have a local attorney. Nauta is facing 6 charges, including conspiracy to obstruct and concealment for allegedly moving document boxes at Mar-a-Lago at Trump's request.
If they're anything like some of the things we presented to Trump in the Oval Office and the Situation Room and the tank at the Pentagon, it could cause enormous damage, incalculable damage to the United States.
Prosecutors told the judge they don't consider Trump a flight risk and he's free to leave Florida with no restrictions, allowing the former president to travel to New Jersey for a campaign fundraiser Tuesday night as the case polarizes his own party.
We cannot take this lightly.
It's obvious what the president did was wrong. I just don't see it as a sham indictment.
It's very problematic. There's a reason I'm not defending it. I would like to find out all the truth of it. Obviously, if that's the truth, I'd be very concerned.
Republicans are set to release a preliminary report on their investigation into Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. It's the most concrete step they have taken towards launching impeachment. Proceedings over Mayorkas' handling of the U.S. border with Mexico. Further hearings to build their case are on the way in coming weeks. The House Judiciary Committee would then decide whether to formally launch impeachment proceedings against Mayorkas.
4 individuals were arrested and charged for multiple thefts on Monday. DeVario Bell, Latwan Berry, Jaden Kelly, and Kendarius Nelson were all charged with engaging in organized crime, police say. Bell was also charged with aggravated robbery. Police were called to a bank on Preston Road near Walnut Hill Lane, where bank bags, a victim's purse was stolen. Police reported that the suspect left the scene in a car. Less than 30 minutes later, police found a similar car at another bank on Preston Road. Police took the 4 individuals into custody after finding the same car at another bank on the same road. Weapons were confiscated and the victim's property was recovered. Police say this is an ongoing investigation. The temperatures are rising. Luke's up next to let you know just how hot it's gonna get.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch.
Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back to the news feed. We've had a lot of rough weather this week, lots of scattered showers, even a little bit of hail. And as you can see, there's a chance of that again tonight as we've got scattered showers throughout the Metroplex. Right now it's about 91 degrees. It's just going to keep climbing. So it's going to get all the way up to 99, and that's going to continue through the rest of the weekend. Friday it's going to be about 101, Saturday once again 101, and then for Father's Day 100. Don't be distracted by these clouds down here because the heat index is coming through. It's showing you it's very, very hot. Even with the cloud cover, even with occasional storms, it's not going to dissipate that heat. And so you can see up here, this is going to be 99 degrees, but the heat index says it's 108. So it feels a lot hotter. You're going to get a lot more dehydrated. And if you're down in places like Corpus Christi, as you can see, it's very, very, very hot and very, very good chance of getting burnt. Everybody within this population triangle It's going to be pretty hot for you if you're traveling over the Father's Day weekend or even into next week. Try and stay cool, wear your sunscreen when you can. This is the 5-day forecast for next week. Monday we start off with 103 degrees, continues into Tuesday, 103 again. Wednesday on Flag Day it's going to be 104. Very, very hot. And then we just continue that through Thursday 102 and Friday 101.
Thanks, Luke. With those temperatures rising, we need to figure out how we can all stay safe. More than 700 people on average die every year in the U.S. from heat-related illnesses. Health experts say protecting yourself and your family is critical. Here's more in today's Health Minute.
As the temperature rises, so does the danger. Each year in the U.S., more than 67,000 people visit emergency departments on average due to the heat.
Heat exhaustion can occur very rapidly.
While heat-related illnesses can affect anyone, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say those most susceptible include seniors 65 and older, anyone with high blood pressure, and people who work outside in the heat. Heat exhaustion symptoms include heavy sweating, cold, pale, clammy skin, and a fast, weak pulse. Experts say to get out of the heat, loosen clothes or take a cool bath and to sip water. Dr. Christina Butler with Mayo Clinic says to avoid going out during the hottest part of the day.
Waking up a little bit earlier to enjoy the sunrise and maybe spending more time outside over the sunset, because those moments of less extreme heat can allow us to be outside enjoying fresh air, but also being safe.
Heat stroke is a medical emergency when the body heats to 103 degrees or higher. Other symptoms include hot, red, dry, or damp skin, fast, strong pulse, confusion, and loss of consciousness. If these symptoms are present, call 911 right away. Medical experts say you should move to a cooler place, apply cool cloths to the body, and don't give the person anything to drink.
If you think about needing help, ask for it rather than delay.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Pennsylvania transportation officials are thanking their peers in New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland in the wake of Sunday's bridge collapse. Officials say the neighboring states have been, quote, quite helpful in helping to manage traffic on I-95. Federal and staff officials are working together to find a workaround for the fallen bridge, which carries 160,000 vehicles daily. Meanwhile, the truck driver whose fiery tanker crash caused the collapse has been identified by the medical examiner. 53-year-old Nathan Moody died from trauma in the accident and leaves behind 3 children.
In addition, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says the demolition of the damaged section of the interstate will be finished on Thursday. He did not set a timeline for when the section could fully reopen, but he did explain the plan for a temporary workaround.
We have determined collectively that the most efficient way to reopen I-95 is to backfill the gap in the roadway behind me and then pave over it. This approach will allow us to avoid delays due to shipment and supply chain issues and pursue a simple, quicker path. Once complete, cars and trucks can return to this stretch of 95, and then we will work together to build a permanent bridge while making sure we keep 6 lanes of traffic open at all times that road construction, that bridge construction goes on.
The fire season in Canada has just started and it's already breaking records. The Canadian Forest Service is predicting the fire season, which lasts all summer, is going to be worse than usual. Since the fires are often started by lightning and fueled by dry weather, there's just not much anyone can do to stop them. For people who live on the eastern seaboard in the U.S., the hazy skies could be a constant sight for the foreseeable future.
Keep it here. Jason's on the way with Timeline Sports.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think.
You all right? It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
On Wednesday, the Dallas City Council voted to ban short-term rentals in some areas. For more than 3 years, the Dallas Neighborhood Coalition has been fighting for stricter regulations. Now, the organization's hundreds of members are supporting the Dallas City Plan Commission's recommendation to classify short-term rentals as a lodging use in the city code, which would ban them from single-family residential areas. Jason Xavier Villanueva, a drug trafficker linked to a string of juvenile fentanyl overdoses in North Texas, pled guilty to conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute fentanyl and distribution of fentanyl to someone under 21 years of age. In plea papers, Villanueva admitted to distributing more than 200,000 fentanyl pills to North Texas customers during the course of 5 or 6 months at a rate of about 40,000 pills per month. He sold the pills, round blue tablets marked M-30, to a network of juvenile and adult dealers in Carrollton who went on to sell to friends, classmates, and other customers. Investigators said he often advertised on Instagram.
Soon, new airliners will have a second barrier to protect pilots. Besides the single cockpit door, the Federal Aviation Administration says it will begin requiring manufacturers to include them in the summer of 2025. Crews will be able to lock both barriers whenever a pilot steps out during the flight, for instance, to use the restroom. Right now, airlines use methods like blocking the walkway with a beverage cart. Many pilots support the second barrier rule, some even wanting it to apply to existing airliners and cargo planes. Well, I have my fingers crossed that the Texas Rangers can come through. Jason, how's it looking?
Let the party begin in the city that never sleeps. The Vegas Golden Knights are your 2023 Stanley Cup champions after Tuesday's dominating closeout win 9-3 over the Florida Panthers. The franchise won their first Stanley Cup just 6 years into its inception. The series wasn't even close as Vegas outscored Florida by a combined 26-11. And up in the mountains, the party is still going. The Denver Nuggets defeated the Miami Heat to win their first NBA championship in just 5 games. Nuggets star Nikola Jokic is the finals MVP after posting 2 triple-doubles. Jokic was asked if he was looking forward to the championship parade by responding, "No, I need to go home. Sunday I have my horse racing in my hometown." The Rangers are back at home after dropping 2 out of 3 to Tampa. That was only the 4th series that Texas has lost all season. They are currently in the midst of dropping another, this time to the Angels. The Angels have taken the first 2. Game 4 is tonight. Tomorrow, they welcome Toronto to Globe Life. And TCU has advanced to the College World Series after sweeping Indiana State in Fort Worth. Game 1 is tomorrow at 1 p.m. versus Oral Roberts. And that's your Timeline Sports.
4 children have been found in the Amazon. And how do students feel about their school? You'll find out the answer next.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because it felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out? You
could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's all good if you think you should check in. Yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
My name is Gary Parker. I served as a Cavalry Scout and a military policeman in the United States Army for 20 years. When I was a Cavalry Scout, we had a young lieutenant that came in, great guy, but he moved on, got promoted to lieutenant colonel, went on to Afghanistan, and I was able to keep in contact. And I'd wake up one morning, go on social media, and there's that post you don't want to see. For whatever reason, he took his own life. Nobody knows why he did it. And if there's something that we could have done to prevent it from happening, safe gun storage can prevent gun suicide, because it's that added step to get to your firearm that might just give somebody a moment of reflection on what they're doing. As a veteran, we need to be ambassadors to people that don't have the knowledge that we have. Anytime you're not storing a weapon safely, you're putting yourself and your community at risk. Service never stops.
A miraculous discovery in the Colombian jungle when 4 children were found alive Friday after weeks on their own. The only survivors of a deadly plane crash, the siblings braved the elements and never gave up. Neither did the search and rescue teams. Here's Laura Aguirre with this incredible story of survival.
The cry of a baby made this moment possible. Rescuers finding 4 siblings in the Colombian jungle Friday, miraculously alive, 40 days after a plane crash that killed their mother, who was a local indigenous tribal leader, and the pilot. The oldest, 13, the younger ones, ages 9, 4, and an infant, that turned 1 while in the jungle.
When the plane crashed, they took out a tapioca flower, and with that they survived. And after the tapioca flower was over, they began to eat seeds.
The children's families say the kids were raised on learning how to survive off the jungle environment.
We are indigenous people. I believe in the jungle, which is our mother. And that's why I've always kept the faith and would say that both the jungle and nature have never betrayed me.
Medical reports show the children are recovering from dehydration and can't yet eat solid food, but Colombia's defense minister says they are out of danger. The children told officials at one point they encountered a Belgian shepherd in the jungle who stayed with them for several days. Officials believe it was Wilson, a Special Forces search dog that went missing May 18th. On Monday, the Colombian Army tweeted pictures they say were drawn by the rescued children, thanking the soldiers and the still missing Wilson for their efforts. The children are expected to continue their recovery in a Bogota hospital for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Hundreds of women in Iowa are able to enjoy playing a sport from their youth, basketball, but at a slower pace. Nicole Tam reports on the fun league called Granny Basketball.
A basketball game with a special set of rules. This is Granny Basketball, where every player is at least 50 years old. Among the rules, no running, no jumping, and granny shots get you 3 points when it makes the basket. Sue Manning plays for the Classic Chassis team.
I love the team that I'm with. They're a lot of fun. And then they made me coach and captain, so I feel a little responsibility to stay on.
You may have noticed the uniforms the grannies are wearing. It's a 1920s style uniform, midi blouses and knee-high stockings, all part of the rules.
Back in the day, they used to wear garments and things like this, so they just keep the tradition alive.
Trey Stanton helps run Granny Basketball. It's one of 25 sporting events that's hosted by Iowa's Senior Games.
And it gives them the opportunity to stay active, fit, and do things they enjoy and love.
The competition can get heated on the court, but at the end of the day,
they may look mean, but and very aggressive on the floor, but at the end of it, they're joking with each other, congratulating each other.
It's all for good fun.
Have a good weekend.